She has indeed made an appearance, and what a beautiful shot this is. Hidden underneath what looks like an old fallen jackalberry, there you can see she has her bushbuck kill, and she has finally had a chance to tuck in. I'm really hoping once she's eaten a little bit more, perhaps she'll even call out the cubs, get them to come and join her. Either way, the prospects for this afternoon have definitely improved. And when she stood up, she wasn't nearly as full as I thought she was. I actually don't think she's had that much of a chance to feed. What we've noticed with Karula, and with a lot of female leopards, to be fair, is once they do catch something, they nibble it a little bit, and then immediately go and fetch their cubs and let their cubs feed. There's that generosity and selflessness that embodies most of the mammal mothers out here. So she's probably let her cubs tuck in first, and it's only now that she's actually really getting a chance to have a proper meal, because she didn't look that full. Now, I'm going to be speaking very, very softly, because some of the guests are right here, some of our viewers. Now, Rose, you were wondering, when it comes time for Karula to no longer be able to have cubs, will she stay in her territory? So as Karula gets older and older, and as far as I know, one of the latest wild leopard birth ages was around 16, so she's still got a couple of years to go before she stops having cubs. But what will generally happen is, yes, she'll maintain a territory, but it'll probably get smaller and smaller and smaller. So as you know, female leopards actually do give off bits of their territories to their daughters, sort of. It's an oversimplification, but that's what they do. Well, Karula had one of the largest territories in the Sabi Sand for a female leopard. An absolutely massive territory. We've noticed, oh, look at that. Showing her teeth a little bit. She was snarling at a fly or something. Don't know what that was about. She's cross. Full and bad-tempered. So Karula's territory will shrink a little bit as she goes along. And you'll probably find that as she reaches the end of her life... Ooh... something's really upset her. A warning snarl. She's snarling at one of the other vehicles. She's not snarling at us. We're quite settled quite far away, but she is just giving one of the other vehicles a little bit of a rev, which is interesting. It just goes to show, because they're not close to her. They're not overly close to her at all. It just goes to show that I think we made the right decision in not trying to move to where we could have got a better visual of her before. Something's put her in a little bit of a mood, and it's important to remember that these are wild animals. And sometimes they have good days and sometimes they have bad days, just like human beings. You never take anything for granted. So she's done that to me once before, and I had absolutely no idea what had happened or what had gone wrong, and I still to this day don't know what had upset her. But she just decided actually she wasn't in the mood for us. As you can see, she's settled down now. She's pulled the carcass around. She's actually pulled it closer to the vehicle. The Karula family lineage, from Karula to Tandi to Kunuma, they're known for the odd snarl every now and again. Now, David, you were wondering how come it is that Shongile and Hosanna don't eat with their mother. And the answer to that is they do occasionally. But what will generally happen is with leopards, they all take turns to feed. Her kills have been relatively small recently, so she hasn't had that massive amount to feed, or they've been in a tree, which has meant that there's only really space for one at a time. As to why they're not here right now, well, I think that she just stood back and let them feed first. Maybe just in terms of space and getting into that area, it was just that little bit easier. There we go. Just relax her a little bit. She still ears are still a little bit back. Glancing back at the vehicle every now and again. I wonder where her cubs are. It's interesting. One of those true Karula family moments where she chose to snarl at the vehicle and then moved the carcass closer to them. Just, I guess it was almost like she was saying, I'm coming here. Don't get in my way. And I think what we plan on doing this afternoon is playing a little bit of the patience game. I'm hoping her cubs are going to make an appearance at some point. Now Shamsun's been doing the same thing I've been doing, which is having a good look around, because Shamsun wants to know if there's a good tree for Karula to hoist her kill into. And the answer is, yeah, there's quite a few actually. She'd probably pick one of these ones. This one looks to be like it might be one of the best, although it's still a little bit of a distance from where she is. But it's amazing the trees that the leopards choose to hoist their kills into. Sometimes they are ridiculously placed. They look like the most inappropriate tree they could have chosen, and right next to them is a perfect marula tree or something similar. And then they've gone and chosen a skinny bush willow. So there's plenty of trees for her to put her carcass into. I think, though, to be honest, the place that she's in oh, excuse me. The place that she's in may actually be almost as good as having hoisted it. Oh. So that's one of the big reasons, or one of the big differences between a cheetah and leopard. To go back to that question, we spoke about the stockiness and the strength. There we can actually see the rosettes that I was talking about with the spots on the back. So it doesn't form a single solid dot. Instead, you sort of get them patterned in circles, and that you won't see on a cheetah. And there's also, to tie it back in with a question from Shamsun, cheetah do not hoist their kills into trees. In fact, they very rarely stick around for very long when they're feeding off a kill. So they'll eat very quickly, they'll gorge themselves throughout the day, and then they will immediately move back and move off. And that's because they sit at the bottom of the predator hierarchy. And they generally don't feel safe sticking around kills, particularly at night. One of the biggest scavengers out here is a male lion, and male lions are probably one of the biggest threats that face cheetah out here, and lions in general. See, she's using that carnassial shear to get right into the meat. And as Karula gives one big gulp, let's head across to Taylor and something very large.